What's up guys, Carn here. So in this video I'm gonna explain to you guys how to craft the gear for the Shield World Warrior build. I'm gonna start with the weapon. The weapon is relatively deterministic. You need to start with a weapon that has +2 melee skills. Doesn't matter if you get it from a perfect essence of battle or if you get it from the ground or a random item. Worth noting, perfect essence of battle is nerfed in next patch and it will only give you +3 on one-handers and +5 on two-handers. So ideally you want to just find or transmute AUG a weapon with +5 and craft from there. You want a weapon with +2 level skills and 3 full prefixes, as well as a free suffix. Now the reason being, you want to desecrate for the armor break mod that you can see here, and that mod comes from a Amanamu desecrated modifier. So what you do, you have your base, you have 3 prefixes on it, you have +2 melee skills and an open suffix. You will use a preserved jawbone with the Omen of the Liege activated, and you will desecrate, unveil, and that will have a 75% chance to give you armor break. Well, if you win on that step, then the item is pretty much finished. All you have to do is use a perfect essence of abrasion. If it has 3 prefixes, if the item already has 3 prefixes, it can only remove a prefix. Because again, to reminder what the perfect essences do, they remove a mod to add another mod. And obviously, because that mod here is a prefix, if the item already has 3 prefixes, it can only remove a prefix. Otherwise, it would not be able to add that mod to the item. So it is 75% deterministic again. The only gamble is the armor break desecrate, which is extremely likely to be in your favor anyway. So once you do that, you are done. You have your mace. You have your endgame mace for the rest of the game. The shield, we do not have omens of homogenizing anymore. So that's gonna make stuff like shields a lot less deterministic. You will have to start with the magic base that has either big flat armor, big percent armor, as well as a good suffix, physical damage reduction, armor applying to elemental, ideally. I don't think I would bother crafting on something that does not have these two mods like that. And once you do have those, also a hybrid armor, also completely fine to start working on as a prefix. You can get those by recombining. If you use the recombinator to recombine, say, tier 1 flat armor with tier 1 armor applying to elemental, it will be about 31 to 32% chance for success. And once you have that magic base, you are good to go. Well, that magic base. It won't be magic anymore, so that's why I try to not work on with recombinators and more with simply bases you pick up the ground. You want to show Tower 1 tower shields, all of them, like the white and blue. Ideally, probably just white bases is what you want, because perfect currency is a lot better at, is going to be a lot more likely to give you the mods you want. And you just slap perfect transmute and perfect AUGs until you get the proper base to work on. Then you use any essence really that gives you resistances, pretty much, because that's what you will want to, what you can guarantee that's going to be useful. And once you do that, you will have an item with, say, tier 1 flat armor applying to elemental, and a res, a chaos res, and from there you just need to slam 2 extra mods. So ideally you want to make sure that you keep a prefix free, so you can desecrate and try to hit the 3rd defense mod, ideally. So ideally you want to slam a good 2nd prefix for armor and desecrate the 3rd one. So it's going to take a few tries. It's not going to be 100% deterministic like it was before, but it's not going to be that hard. Like, shields have very few mods on prefixes. It's only basically armor mods that you want, and then life and block chance, and thorns. These are the only things you can actually hit on shields. So getting a good shield will still be relatively fine. You will just not be able to make the perfect shield that easily anymore. Also, to keep in mind, for your starter shield, for example, like the first shield you will craft in endgame, you will really only need a big fat armor roll, and then you can use an essence of enhancement, and that will guarantee percent armor, and that will be good enough for essence of enhancement. This is it goes up to like 79%. Tier 1 armor is 100%. So while worse, it is still really good. So that is the easy way. Once you have a greater essence of enhancement and you have a shield as tier 1 flat armor, boom, you already have a very good shield from the get-go, and you can just try to desecrate for hybrid armor on the prefix, and just slap a bunch of suffixes, and that'll be your basically your first endgame shield weapon that you want to make on that base. Now for the other slots, it's gonna be mostly of the same. The chest is very similar. Find a base with 2 good mods or recombine for those. Again, I recommend just picking up white bases and clicking perfect currency on them. This is the best way to get those. There's not that many mods on the prefixes on the chests as well, so using an exalt and then desecrating will have a pretty high chance of giving you what you want. I would recommend using perfect exalts or greater exalts for that. Maybe not perfect exalts. I would only use that for like the really big items that are close to perfect. Other than that, just using perfect greater exalts, while not the best, is also still gonna be better than using regular exalts. And that is one of the problems with not having homogenizing omens. Using perfect currency feels a lot worse. But again, like I said, on shields and chests, it's not that big of a deal because all the mods you will find on the prefixes will help you. Like the only bad mod on the Warlord Curse on a body armor will probably be Hybrid Life and Thorns, and everything else can be useful to some extent depending on the other rules you have. And then you just desecrate. Again, you can desecrate for the 3rd prefix or desecrate for a suffix if you need more res. Either way, this will be the general process for every piece of gear. Same thing for the belt, for example. If you want a belt, you're just gonna want to find one. Click Essence, either find one with a big life and big res, and then Essence for a 3rd res, and then desecrate for the 4th one. The 3rd one, sorry. So, one thing to know too is that it is very important to use these type of omens to help you get hybrid resistances when you desecrate on your items. Reason being, these omens, I repeat, they guarantee that you will see 3 mods. For example, here, if you use the Omen of the Liege and you desecrate, you will only see 3 mods from the Amanamu mod pool. So for example, here we're looking at gloves. And say, for example, use a Kogel Omen on the gloves. You can only hit Hybrid Res, Dex Int, or Mana Cost Efficiency. And I am pretty sure that for gloves, this is all you can get as a Kogel mod. Let me double check, because sometimes there is multiple and you just don't see all of them here. Yeah, so for example on gloves, you are guaranteed to get Cold Chaos resistances when you desecrate for a suffix. And this is pretty big because you can just find gloves with say tier 1 life and tier 1 attack speed or tier 1 armor applying to elemental, and then you essence a 2nd resistance. And after that you can just desecrate the suffix. Again, you can guarantee that you desecrate the suffix by using stuff like Omen of Dextral Necromancy, or by filling the prefixes first, by using Omens of Sinistral Exaltation, exalting 2 prefixes, and then desecrating the suffix. It depends on like what is if you play trade, whatever is cheaper, you just do that. If you play SSF, whatever you have the most of, most success to, you just do that. Also remember, Omen of Abyssal Echoes are a thing, and whenever you desecrate for the 3rd mod on an item, for example on your shield, if you have tier 1% armor, tier 1 flat armor, and you're desecrating for hybrid armor, probably a good time, and you have good suffixes, probably a good time to use an Omen of Abyssal Echoes to finish the item and make sure that you actually hit the right desecrated mod you want. Yeah, so keep that in mind. It's not the same for every slot. For example, on rings, I think it's Amanamu you wanna desecrate to guarantee some res. I will double check here, although on rings you kind of want to try to get skill speed. So I would probably do Ulaman. Ulaman can hit... how many mods? Well, Ulaman is also guaranteed to give you either skill speed or chaos, it looks like. I'm gonna double check again because this is a bit annoying because it doesn't show all the mods here that you can hit. So we're gonna double check. Usually it's here. Yeah, so there's a 4th one here. So it's not guaranteed, but it's still 75% chance to hit skill speed or res, for example. Or basically, you're guaranteed to hit one of the 2. If you use Ulaman Omen for ring suffixes. So that again, rings are the same story. The process is the same for every single rare piece of gear. Loot items, click perfect currency, get 2 good mods, essence a 3rd mod, desecrate the 4th one. And that is usually gonna be the general loop for crafting your gear at every stage of the game next patch. You can also use stuff like where are they? You can also use stuff like I think it's catalyzing omen. Yeah, omen of catalyzing exaltation. These are pretty good to hit higher tier, higher mods with like higher weight. If you try to hit something like percent life on amulet, this is not gonna work. The mod weight is way too low. But if you're trying to hit stuff like life on straight up flat life, you'll be pretty good at hitting that. Hitting flat life on a ring or really any piece of gear that doesn't have many other life mods it'll be extremely effective at doing so. So I would recommend doing Omen of Catalyzing Exaltation and then use a perfect exalt on things like, say, like rings. I think that's how I got life on this ring, for example. I just catalyzed it and slammed it. Same thing if you want. Yeah, I would think that life is probably the biggest one. I guess with mana will also work if you want mana, but yeah, that is pretty much how I would make the gear. Boots is the same story. Boots are also pretty easy to make because there's not that many mods. On prefixes it's only life, movement speed, and a bunch of armor. You can also just on boots I would probably want to start with move speed, because if you don't get tier 1 life it's not a big deal, but the movement speed on your boots being high is extremely important. Yeah, so that's pretty much how you will craft all the gear. Start with a good base. That's 2 good mods. Essence third one, Slime a couple, Desecrate the third one, and make sure to use stuff like all the omens you have available to make sure you do not feel the affixes you wanna desecrate, for example. Otherwise, because if the affixes are filled, it will remove an item when you desecrate to remove a mod to add the one you would want. So make sure you keep that in mind when you try to finish your items. But that's pretty much it for crafting on this build. I hope it was helpful. If you liked, make sure to like and subscribe, and follow me at twitch.tv/Carn_. You can find me there and ask me questions if you have if something was not clear, if you're not sure how to make one of your items. But yeah, thanks for watching. See you guys in the next one. Peace.